Have you ever wondered where the word groggy comes from? We all know the word, we know what it means. Shambling, staggering, befuddled, ultimately drunk. Someone who's groggy is drunk or looking as though they're drunk. So, what's the connection? Well, the connection is grog. Grog is an alcoholic drink. Main constituents are rum and water. There's also some fruit juice, citrus fruit juice, and there might be some sugar. But the main constituents are rum and water. So, and that's called grog. So why is it called grog? Well, you might know about something called the rum ration in the British Navy, the Royal Navy. Up until 1970, all sailors' ratings were issued with a rum ration. It continued in New Zealand up until 1990, so well within living memory. And in fact, on special occasions, it is still issued in the Royal Navy. It requires the order of the sovereign for that to happen, but it does happen. But the routine daily rum ration, or actually technically ration of grog, was stopped in 1970. Up until then, it happened every day towards noon. Actually, sometimes it happened twice a day. And earlier, there had been slightly different conventions about it. There had been larger amounts. Before 1740, it had been pure rum. It wasn't diluted with water. Eventually, it came to be diluted, 1 measure of rum, 2 measures of water. The idea was that it would stop sailors getting drunk. I don't know if that actually helped, but that was the idea. It was introduced by an admiral who was known as Old Grog. His real name was Edward Vernon, Admiral Vernon. And he was known as Old Grog because of a coat he used to wear. But I'll just tell you a little bit more about him before we switch to his coat. Admiral Vernon had been an officer at the War of Jenkins' Ear. Now, you might never have heard of the War of Jenkins' Ear, but it's a real war. You can look it up, lots of details about it. It's associated with the War of the Austrian Succession. I'm not going to go into it here too long. But under his command, this must have been 1739, under his command was the elder brother of George Washington. And the following year, the brother took control of the family plantation, slave plantation in Virginia, and he renamed it. He renamed it in honour of Admiral Vernon, and it came to be known as Mount Vernon, and you may have heard of it. It's quite a famous place. Here's a picture of it. So, back to Old Grog, Admiral Vernon. Why was he known as Old Grog? Well, he was known as Old Grog because he wore a coat made of a particular material, a textile, a rough, hard-wearing textile called grogram. And he was famous for his grogram coat, and that's why he was called Old Grog. Okay, so that now begs the question of why this coarse material was called grogram. And the answer to that is that it came from late medieval French, from gros grain, gross grain, a reference to it being a rough material. Now, we could go back earlier and we could track down the origin of those words, which incidentally in English would translate into gross, grain. And if we did track them back, we would eventually end up at a very ancient language that we call Proto-Indo-European. But we're not going to talk about that today. We might talk about that another day. For the moment, we'll just content ourselves with knowing that this material, grogram, gave its name to the coat worn by Admiral Vernon, and thus to the Admiral himself, and then to his innovation introduced in 1740, same time, of diluted rum rations, which came to be known as grog from him. And we still have those words today, along with the effects of grog, groggy. So there we are, a little etymology. Until next time, bye bye.